Alright, so just as crazy as this weather is in Southern California and Orlando, Florida in general, I hear there's like tornadoes over there. Perfect timing because I actually got a planned trip to Orlando coming up here in the next week. So there might be a little bit of a lack of video coverage there should something happen. But at least for now, I managed to catch the third episode of the McFarlane Toys show. And this one was a little bit pivotal considering that this is probably the first episode post not only the whole DC license going back to Mattel debacle, but also the most recent episode of the McFarlane Toys show post whatever the hell that was in the second episode, which had to do with the draft. It was, for lack of a better term, a little bit bloated, a little bit a little vapid in that sense. So what a relief it is to see that the third episode was paced exceptionally. I do think that maybe we need to trim down a little bit on the starting soon screens and maybe change up the music. I really don't know how I feel about that carnival music that plays at the beginning. But they actually came out with some bangers. So much so that I wrote them down because I'm not going to be able to refer to them using my phone since that's frankly what I'm using to film. So it was honestly really well done as far as how they were able to pace it and how they were able to kind of compartmentalize everything and keep it moving. And it was rather brisk. I was genuinely surprised by how really well tight-knit this episode really was, because they started with a pretty well-rounded reveal, or a set of reveals, a pair of reveals, so to speak, starting with the final suit Riddler from Batman Forever. I'm assuming this is going to be a form of platinum chase figure. I don't know if it's really considered. I gotta be honest. I'm going to leave you guys, to decide on this one, whether it's going to be a silver platinum chase figure or a red platinum chase figure, because it's almost easy to kind of dismiss this as a repaint, but at the same time, you technically do have a brand new head sculpt because you have to change up the hair. The suit looks like it has some graphing on it, some textural work that was not present on the original. How much was modded to hopefully maybe be a red platinum? Because red platinum is supposed to signify being a brand new figure, so does this count? Is it going to be some kind of exclusive? Is it going to be like the Scarecrow red platinum figure for the Batman Begins wave, where you're only going to be able to find it in stores, brick and mortar stores, and you're going to have to get off your ass to go find it? I feel like more details will come, but it's interesting that this one was actually being wished upon just almost not as badly, but I feel like close to as badly as that Demon Batman from Batman Begins. So good to see that McFarlane kind of listened to a few of the fans. And then right after that, we got confirmation of one of the figures that was actually on that document list. So it's good to see that finally it's been materialized. And it's kind of mimicking something that we were all kind of speculating was going to happen here in the, what, for lack of a better term, could be considered the sunset year of McFarlane with the DC license, which is that he's taking some of these initial figures from like 2020, 2021 and reissuing them, maybe with some changes as double packs. And we got yet another double pack, the Grim Knight Batman, which is the fully loaded Batman with all the guns and things that would probably make it unmarketable for it to be in brick and mortar stores right next to Barbie or TMNT or anything like that in any capacity in Targets and Walmarts. But it's going to be coming packed with a very comic-based Killer Croc from that storyline. So it's going to be similar to the Thomas Wayne 2-pack that came with Professor Zoom, and the Thomas Wayne in and of itself. It's going to come packed with several different goodies, but the default head is going to have like a change of expression. So it's not going to be 100% a reissue like the original Grim Knight, which thankfully I already have under my possession. So I'm eager to see how that comparison is going to fare out. But we started out with those two reveals. That was awesome. And then it kind of slowed down a little bit, but appropriately so. Not in a critical way, but in a natural way that it was needed for them to tackle, which is going to be a recap of sorts of what it was revealed and what was talked about at Toy Fair. So obviously they covered the Mortal Kombat announcements, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collaboration that's going to come in the form of Page Punchers. Then they showed some really dynamic footage of some of the stuff that they had on the floor at Toy Fair. Some of the stuff that was probably filmed by some YouTubers that were present there and gotten some access, but maybe they weren't able to get some of the more dynamic and cool Dutch angle kind of shots, or flat out weren't allowed to film to begin with. So they covered some of the movie maniacs that's going to be coming out pretty soon, some of which are not only movie maniacs, but you could also count them as TV show maniacs, because I did see Kevin from The Office spilling his chili there as immortalized in a movie maniac statue. Some of the Blizzard stuff with World of Warcraft, Diablo 4, the sports stuff with the hockey, etc. But among them, they did tackle some of the Avatar stuff from not only Way of Water, but also kind of utilizing that as a vehicle to announce that they are going to be bringing us figures and probably statues and maybe vehicles, whether it be the Earth stuff or the Neytiri stuff, from Avatar 3, aka Avatar Fire and Ash, which apparently comes out this December, and I did not know about it. I knew it was coming out pretty soon, but for some reason my brain was wired to think that it was coming out next December, not this one, but it's this one. So I'm like, shouldn't we be getting a trailer by now then? Cameron, what's up? You know, you have so much footage. Since you like to make these things so goddamn long, then where's the trailer then? Anyways, moving on from that, they did cover a little bit of that Berserker figure that's modeled after Keanu Reeves, which is actually going to be going up for pre-order this Thursday as part of Walmart Con. So there's going to be an exclusive amount of quantities through that vehicle there. And then after that, I wrote here towards the latter half of that Toy Fair coverage, they finally forked it over to DC, in which they finally took an opportunity to pretty much confirm the Two-Face and the Dr. Fate fidgetals that are already floating out there and already gotten a little bit of a tease on their social media platforms. So obviously, this was bound to happen. They were going to take opportunity here in the McFarlane Toys show to actually say, okay, these things are real and they're coming out pretty soon. Pre-orders are April 11th, and they were also showcased on the floor for Toy Fair. But among them, there were also the other stuff like the Kingdom Come, Superman, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, Page Punchers, a couple of other things. But then that led to another figure that was on the floor. But again, I like how they were paced very well and they were able to segue very fluidly, so to speak. Because there was a Jim Gordon figure on that glass shelf at Toy Fair that I didn't really comment on too much prior to this video, but I guess now this is a really good chance to do so. It's a Constantine figure. I can recognize the coat, I can recognize the buck, but obviously they put a mustachioed Jim Gordon head sculpt. However, this is year one Jim Gordon because he's fully brown with his hair and much younger looking. So they changed up a few of the pastels and a few of the color palettes for the outfit to mimic that of something that Jim Gordon would wear, and then retrofitted it to look like a Jim Gordon figure, taken from Batman Year One. So you're gonna give us Jim Gordon. That only makes sense that you're gonna give us a Year One Batman, right? Yes. Shortly after that, they announced Year One Batman, and not only does this Batman look pretty sweet, simple but sweet, it also kind of begs the question, do you think that this could qualify for the definitive Batman? Because I was looking at that turntable shot, and I'm thinking to myself, this could be a qualifier, a contender for a definitive Batman. Just right up there with the Nightfall Batman, right up there with maybe the Hush Batman, whether maybe the black and gray Hush Batman, if we are to get a little bit more specific. I don't know. What do you guys think? Then, of course, we got some other variants of the Nightfall Buck. We got the DC Reborn. Some people recently started to kind of make a case for DC Reborn Batman, the Dick Grayson one, to be a definitive scheme for, like, the Batman that they would like to have on the shelf as, like, the Batman that's not based on any kind of property. I don't know. I'd say that that's actually worth discussing down in the comments. But I would say that Year One Batman could make a very strong case. I just wonder if it's a strong enough case to warrant being a Walmart exclusive. This is probably my only little ding towards the Year One Batman and the Year One Gordon, is that they're going to be Walmart exclusives. I honestly don't. Maybe Gordon, but Batman is so sought after. And this year one interpretation looks so definitive that I think it's kind of a mistake that McFarlane is making it Walmart exclusive, or an exclusive in general. Because if they were going to make it an exclusive, make it a Target exclusive. I hate going to Walmarts. Walmarts are so ghetto. I'm sorry. Especially here in Southern California. Virtually every Walmart that I go to, it's terrible. Everything is just a mess. Not just talking about the toy, most especially the toy aisle, but I'm also talking about the produce. I'm talking about like the condiments, clothes. Trying to flag down an employee so that they can help me is... I'm practically gonna... I should block an hour of my time just going in there trying to find anything, not just the figures, but trying to get myself some protein bars or something. So, wish that if it was going to be an exclusive, make it either GameStop or Target, not Walmart. But it looks like we're gonna have to brave those little quirks. And here's to hoping that maybe it'll also be at some capacity available to find also online, even if it is the Walmart site. At least allow me to do that, similar to how they did with the Batman Nightfall Azrael. That was a Walmart Gold Label exclusive with the proper, baby blue attire. So that would be nice. But then after that, like I said, I followed suit by covering some of those page punchers as I mentioned. More of the animated series, specifically that Build a Bruce Wayne wave that's been delayed a number of times, and it looks like it was kind of spotlighted a little bit more during the Toy Fair. So it looks like maybe we're getting a little closer to its eventual release. We'll see. A little bit more shown of the Batwing, as well as some more Spawn stuff, more of Todd's mods, which was also an exclusive to this McFarlane Toy Show. I don't think so many people really covered it. I barely saw any photos of them when it was covered by some other YouTubers and influencers and such. But it was finally here during this third episode of the McFarlane Toy Show that I saw some more mods. Gotta be honest, I'm a little indifferent towards them. And even more so towards Marvel statues, even though they're pretty cool looking, but there's nothing that I'm actively hunting. And if there is, it's funny. I saw it, and even I still could not move myself to buy it. And technically speaking, I have the money right now, but I'm like, I know some other stuff is on the horizon about to release, specifically from Mayfix and Figure Arts. So I'm kind of like, I just couldn't do it. And that was the black suited symbiote Spidey from Secret Wars. The one where he's got the Spidey sign and he's like this from the Secret Wars comic. I saw that at a GameStop recently. 1/6 scale. Looked awesome. Still couldn't pull the trigger. So if I couldn't do it on that, then you can guess that some of the stuff that was showcased here with the Thor statue, and then the 2 exclusive reveals for this episode, which was of the Punisher, and yet again another Spidey that was designed by and drawn by Todd McFarlane. So I kind of feel bad because I know that there were some people in the chat saying that they wanted like a Doctor Doom statue or something like that. And I'm over here feeling pretty bad for them, knowing that every time that they announce a new wave of statues, whether it be in the 1/6 to 1/10 scale, one of those slots is going to be taken up by Spidey. Makes sense from a business standpoint because Spidey's going to sell. But at the same time, I'm like, there's so many other characters that people want McFarlane statues at this point, and every time that they reveal a set amount, just automatically subtract one because you know it's going to be taken up by Spidey. I think it's kind of an unwritten golden rule at this point. And then with that, we're left with our final reveals, because after that they more or less closed out on Toy Fair, but then they brought us something expected but not unexpected. Expected because we were kind of overdue for yet another Alfred, because McFarlane is willing to give us some Alfreds. There's a bit of a niche demographic here for Alfred action figures, but it's pretty curious that him and the team were more or less confirming that they're not done with the Batman v Superman wave, because they're bringing us the Jeremy Irons Alfred from BVS. And even though I feel a little off about the way that the face looks, because it's always, McFarlane's always kind of a little iffy with live action likenesses, and I feel like the glasses just look a little bit too together on the face from the rotating shot that I saw. But the outfit looks pretty spot on for the way that Jeremy Irons was styled in both BVS and Justice League. It's actually kind of the way that I like to dress, or I would like to dress at that age. But I think the biggest takeaway is that even though we didn't get any concrete visual identifiers, the guys that were, Claudio, I think his name was Claudio, and AJ, they more or less teased, and for lack of a better term, I think it's almost a confirmed, unless there's like a pull in funding of some kind, they pretty much straightforward teased the BVS Batmobile. Now, hot take, bit of a hot take here. Not my preferred Batmobile. I think it just looks a little too militaristic and spaceshipy that I'm like, it doesn't have enough details about it that kind of strikes me as a Batmobile, to be quite honest. But a lot of people are chomping at the bit for a BVS Justice League Batfleck Batmobile. They want it. There's a lot of people screaming in the comments that genuinely want it. And frankly, I can't really blame them. Again, it's Adam preference. It's not my preferred Batmobile. There's a couple of others I would like to see from the armament to be, brought to the McFarlane DC Multiverse scale. But for the time being, I'm thinking to myself, as far as the live action stuff, that's the only one left to kind of take away. And if they're not willing to abandon the BVS wave just yet, then maybe there's still hope that he'll finally checkbox and please me and others OCD and deliver on a proper Justice League Batfleck. That's not tactical. Even though the tactical suit figure is astounding, just a normal, straightforward Justice League, Zack Snyder Justice League, basic suit Batman. And like most of you pointed out in that last video that I mentioned, Panther suits for both, for Kilmer and maybe even the final battle suit or climax suit, ice suit for Clooney's Batman from Batman and Robin, I guess. And then at the very end, speaking of teases, they teased that there's practically more to come from Todd and Brian once they hold together their panel at WonderCon. Now, unfortunately, their panel is going to be on that Friday. I'm going to have to work, so there's practically no point in trying to go to WonderCon that day. But I do know that McFarlane and Jim Lee are going to be taking the stage and maybe doing some signings on that Saturday, so maybe I'll go for that Saturday at WonderCon, because I definitely have the weekends off, so maybe. But as far as McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse actual, developments and news and announcements and reveals, it's going to have to be that Friday. So if anything, I'm probably going to have to stay tuned to social media of any live streams and of any things that kind of develop from that. And speaking of, live streams and things that Todd and Brian are probably going to be bringing to the forefront, there's that Walmart Con happening this Thursday, March 13th. So I'm probably going to have to be tuning into that. But before they close things off with those announcements and kind of, what's the term? Housekeeping that they had to do for those cons and those events and those temple things, they did make good on one last reveal. Because, there's so many Batmen out there, but for some strange reason, we have yet to get a cowboy Batman? Yeah, well, dreams do finally come true. We're getting a cowboy Batman. Because why the not? Now, truth be told, in terms of design, in terms of concept, I'm digging it. It only makes sense. We've had Ninja Batman. We've had this other Batman. I think at one point we're probably going to get an astronaut Batman. But for the time being, we'll make do with a cowboy Batman. And he does look, in fact, like a cowboy Batman. But if I could be a little bit of a stickler for just a few seconds, don't like the felt good that they went for the duster. Because it looks a little rubbery. It looks like it's made out of the same material as some of the more recently jacketed figures, like the Power Girl variant, the Platinum Chase variant of a Power Girl, and Mr. Terrific. The way that their jackets are designed, it looks like they went with that fabric, that type of design or stitching for his duster, which puzzles me because you went with an actual cloth duster for the Jonah Hex figure, which was, I believe, also a Walmart exclusive last year, or Walmart exclusive, and also I believe McFarlane Toy Store exclusive. So that guy had a fabric duster, like an actual cloth duster, kind of made out of the same material as the armored Batman from the BVS line. Why couldn't you use that material for this cowboy Batman? And it's Batman. He's going to be in high demand. People are going to want this, but you kind of cheapened out with that rubbery kind of texture. I'm not a big fan of it. It looks a little cheap. It looks a little wrinkly. It looks like it's going to crease like a bitch because of how much posing you're going to do with this character. It should have been a cloth duster. I got to be honest. But at least the suit that I'm seeing from underneath, that looks kind of cool. Looking forward to seeing what kind of accessories they're going to toss in. If he ends up being an exclusive of some kind, maybe this will allow him to have some kind of pistol or rifle, since, weaponry of that kind is not going to be allowed to be in store. So I'm looking forward to what kind of developments and kind of sneak previews we get of Cowboy Batman as time winds down and we get a firm pre-order date. Apart from that, though, they close out the show, and frankly, my verdict on that third episode is that much better, much better than that second episode. And frankly, I would almost make the argument that this is probably the best one that they have done yet. Now, granted, the wind could be taking a little bit of the sails when we get a little closer to the release of the DC license back on over to Mattel, which they kind of hinted at a little bit here. They did kind of remark it on the DC license. Didn't confirm anything. They didn't say that, oh yeah, July of 2026, we're going to stop. But they pretty much just replacated, similar to how Todd himself did during that interview, replacated saying that they're still going to be continuing to make DC figures for now, and that there's ongoing discussion with Warner Brothers, that they're good partners. He kind of reaffirmed that they're, amicable with each other, and that discussions are ongoing. So to me, it sounds very similar to what Todd was saying, that they're still negotiating to see if maybe they could split with Mattel, if maybe they could do something like they're doing with the Marvel statues. They can stay within that 7-inch scale, and then Mattel will do something on the smaller side. I don't know. Who knows? I'm in the same camp as you guys. We're only kind of have to wait and see. For now, though, I'm starting to get a little hungry. The rain is starting to come down, which is probably going to slow down drivers. It's time to beat it. Thank you guys for watching, and look to some more updates as, like I said, we get that Walmart con. Probably get some more stuff coming down the pipeline on social media, and maybe I'll make another video about it then. For the time being, though, gotta go, guys. Take care and stay humble.